Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jody Misiak. Today, I want to share a saying or really an affirmation that has helped me in so many areas of my life on so many different occasions. And I really want to share a story of how powerful saying this affirmation is. Now, I love affirmations. If you could see my office, you would see that there's lots of affirmations around, and even in my bathroom, when I get ready in the morning, I read them, and at night too. Just kind of giving me a little, giving me a reminder of, the positive thoughts I could be saying if my day hasn't been going quite as right or things like that. And I want to kind of start this story with saying that I don't normally have a fear of flying. However, I had some anxiety around flying when we were planning my birthday trip to Hawaii. Now, it wasn't just for my birthday. It was for lots of different celebrations. But a big one was I was turning 40. So we decided to go to Hawaii. And like I said, never had a fear of flying. And then as we got closer, I had these anxieties. Now, I haven't flown a lot. I'm not a person that flies yearly or monthly or things like that. But I have flown. I've never really had a problem. I'm not a big fan of turbulence, but honestly, I don't know who is. Anyways, so I'm just saying that out front, but I felt a little anxious going into the flying. And in that moment, I had to check in with myself, why? I noticed I was on the news and there's talk about different there's talk about different airplanes, that things were going wrong. And I'm like, okay, first off, I need to get out of the news. And then also I reached to my crystals. Now, maybe that's not your thing, but they actually helped. And it felt really good. My anxiety levels were gone. Now, this isn't about crystals, this episode. So Eric, wait a second. You said you were talking about a saying or an affirmation. I'm going to get to that. Anyway, so that was the before story. Now, I love flying with my kids because one, they're pretty chill on planes. And two, when turbulence comes, it doesn't faze them at all. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. They have zero fear of flying. And I want to keep it that way. As much as I don't want to be their source of anxiety for flying. So I'm so grateful that they don't have anything when there's turbulence. Anyways, the flight to Hawaii was pretty low key. There was some turbulence throughout the whole flight, off and on, but nothing crazy, nothing that even made me nervous. Nothing. Just okay, there we go. There's some turbulence. And the kids looking at them going, oh, they're not even phased. Awesome. So having some really feel-good moments there. Now, let's fast forward. Yes, we had an amazing trip and things like that. And then we're on our flight home. And the flight was amazing. It was, coming back to Canada, so Vancouver. It was only 5 hours and something. So not too long of a flight. And almost zero turbulence. The seatbelt light did not come on, I don't think, at all for the whole flight, pretty much, until about 18 minutes before landing. And why do I know this number so well? It's because we hit turbulence so insanely. It literally felt imagine you're sitting in a toy plane, somebody's literally shaking in the air. That's, to me, what it felt like. And after it all, we stabilized, my husband's like, whoa, is everybody okay? And I'm like, uh-huh. We were coming into Vancouver, or getting closer to Vancouver, in a windstorm. So there was nothing wrong with the pilot, or there was nothing, we were just reaching some weather that was unstable. Anyways, so the initial thing was over. And then, not too long after that, we had almost nonstop turbulence, where you could feel the airplane rocking side to side. And I was feeling pretty not cool right there. And of course, me would be okay, well, I need to stay cool for my kids, while also stay cool for everybody else on the plane, because no one needs a freak out person on the plane when they're probably already all freaking out anyways. So I reach for an affirmation. It literally just popped in my head. It's one I say a lot, so it was pretty easy to remember. All is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good can come. I am safe. And I just kept repeating that for about the 20 minutes that we landed. And I, unfortunately, we took a flight that has video in the seats, but mine decided to go out on me. So I couldn't actually see where we were on the landing part as much as I wanted to. So I was actually looking through the seats to a gentleman in front of me that was watching it. And I was like just counting down every so often, but I was repeating the saying. And I have to say, I was so intense, I was so tense, my anxiety was through the roof, something I've never experienced on a flight ever. I think I've had one where the landing was a little rough, and I'm like, oh, but it was so short because it was the landing part that lasts a blink of a second, and then it was all fine again. So for me, this was an intense moment. Now you might be listening and be like, oh my goodness, you're crazy. Maybe you're not. Maybe you've experienced it yourself. We all have different flights, right? And I was feeling so overwhelmed. But the moment I said this saying, this wave of peace and reassurance washed over me. It was this beautiful thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I still was thinking about how long we had to get, the flight. And I'm just please land safely. There's a couple other things that were coming into my mind in those moments. But this saying literally washed a huge chunk of anxiety through me. And it's possible that I actually started this saying with the first wave. I honestly can't remember now. I just remember it's been a few weeks since the landing, and then this is coming out months later. But I really wanted to share with you today the power of our thoughts. Because I could be freaking out in my mind, oh my goodness. So many things could have went through my mind in different ways. Instead, I chose to think positive thoughts. Now, did it erase all my worry? No, but it erased a lot of my worry. So I just closed my eyes and just kept saying it over and over. And on occasion, I would smile to my kids and just make sure they're cool. But they were pretty cool the whole time. Other than they're whoa, this is really shaky now. They noticed it, but they didn't really have anything else but that. They're just okay, the plane's rocking. It's really incredible how powerful our thoughts are. And when we lean on something that is more positive than our thoughts that are going on our head, it can really help us through some tricky situations. And I'm being completely honest and open with my experience because it was a really big eye-opener for me. It was the most intense turbulence I've ever experienced. Now, my husband said he's had worse, so okay, cool. But for me, that was the worst I've experienced. And like I said, I've never had a big, never loved turbulence, but this one was not fun. I'm surprised we didn't all cheer when we landed. I think we all did, maybe inside. I know I did. I did a happy dance. It was also dark outside, so I couldn't open, and, I should have opened the windows to see what was going on, but I really didn't want to. Anyways, besides the point of the crazy flying story and the landing and stuff like that, it's really a backstory to share with you how I was feeling and then how amazing it was in that moment. So if this saying is too much to remember, even just saying all is well. All is well. But for me, I had to say the whole thing. And I want to add, because I have shared this before, I forgot to add that this is a beautiful affirmation from Louise Hay. And it's something that I've been using here and there for probably over a decade now. I know the book that it's in, called I Can Do It, is it's full of affirmations and things like that. And I've owned it for probably over 14 years. So it's definitely something that I've leaned on here and there. And that's why it just comes so naturally to me and things like that. But it's having a couple affirmations to lean on. It can be as simple as I can do it, when we're feeling not able to, right? Like I was in a little bit of a funk before recording this, and I had to bring all my awesome with me. So it's like, well, how do I get out of my funk? And I did say, like, I can do this. Like, and then it's also thinking about giving to others. Like, somebody needs to hear this message. And then it also is, I listen to music, to be completely honest. So sometimes music is another thing I do to pump up my energy. And I actually jumped on the trampoline in my office, like did some rebounding. In fact, actually, I was playing a song and then I got inspired. I'm like, well, instead of just dancing in my chair, why don't I get up and jump on my trampoline? So it's getting our bodies moving when we're not feeling it. But let's get back to why I'm sharing it in the first place. Is affirmations alone don't always help us in every situation, but they can really get us started. Like, so if you're in a funky mood or you're just, maybe you don't like mornings, having an affirmation or a couple of them where you can see them in the morning is great. Like I said, I have some in my office. And it's just even having some around for when things don't feel right or feel good and to get you out of that funk. And then you can back them with like more movement. In fact, like the other day, I woke up kind of edgy. I was kind of grumpy. And it's a theme. It's as I'm recording this, I'm going to full disclose, it is November and I've just gotten home. I think it's just less than 2 weeks now. So we're still getting, feeling the cold here versus like Hawaii weather. Anyway, so I was feeling grumpy. And thankfully, I had plans with a friend to go for our weekly walk. And after my walk, I felt so much better. So just an hour of walking in the forest, talking with a friend, just getting outside in the fresh air was so amazing. So I'm getting a little off sidetracked here. But just sharing the power of affirmation. And then if they don't feel like enough, there's always ways to up the ante with like shaking it out with a good dance or getting out walking and things like that. Never, ever underestimate the power of an affirmation. So keep some tucked somewhere, maybe not tuck them away, but like have them out or just keep them handy for when you may need them. And I'd like to also add a side note to this is before our trip, when I was feeling a little anxious about flying, I looked up tapping because I love tapping. So EFT, emotional freedom technique. And I found some videos and things about fear of flying. I never actually used them because I worked through my anxiety for flying before the trip. And actually, it only took a couple of days to get through it. I was feeling anxious. And then just instead of living in the anxiety of it, I got to I don't know about the bottom of it. I guess it kind of was. It was just the other people's fears of flying, really. And just the unknown, fear of unknown, right? So anyways, I worked on it. I did the work and did some healing and things like that. Anyways, with this video that I found, it shared that like you can see so many people tapping on planes because it's like there's a lot of fear of flying. So one, it felt good to not be alone. Also, it was just like, okay. So I put that tapping script aside too. And I'm like, okay, I can tap if I really need it too on the plane. But I want to circle back to that night on the plane. And I tried to tap, but it was a little jerky. It was a little rough. And I was like, I can't even focus on tapping. I had to just keep repeating the affirmation. Now, actually looking back now, I had a aha moment. If you are a tapper, if it's your thing, I could have actually used the affirmation and tapped on my karate chop point. So, hindsight, right? 2020, I could have tried that, but I was like trying to get to my eyebrow and like I was trying to start at the beginning. Or did I try my karate point? Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Whatever it was not working for me. So I want to also share that sometimes what we think might work might not work. And what works for other people might not work for you. So it's finding what works best for you. So if, the thought of affirmations drives you batty, then don't do it. Go dance or go do something else. Or if it interests you and you're like, ooh, maybe I can start doing saying some affirmations or have some for when I'm feeling down or when I just need a little pick me up or even just something positive to say right before bed. Whatever works for you. Because there's going to be affirmations, like even some that I've read, I'm like, ooh, those words don't feel true to me or don't feel good to me. And that's a really important factor in saying affirmations. This one here is very in tune to what I needed to say to myself in that moment. In a lot of situations in life, I find when I get into my worry wheel, my husband and kids aren't home yet. And I'm like, they should have been home a half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. What's going on? And then, we as humans can go to worst case scenario. And then instead of going down that train or that road, I say affirmations. Because thinking worst case scenario doesn't help us, right? It actually didn't happen. We don't know, right? So getting down that road of worry doesn't actually help us in that situation. So I actually just, lean on this affirmation as well. So I'll say it again. So if you'd like to write it down, and remember this is from Louise Hay, who loved, sharing affirmations and things like that. And, focused a lot on self-love. So here it is. Hopefully you're ready with pen and paper or keyboard, phone, whatever you're using to write it down. All is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come. I am safe. I use I am safe a lot too, or all is good. Just whatever feels good in the moment to you. And it all really comes down to awareness too, right? We have to be aware of our thought patterns. I had to be aware of my anxiety. I could have been cringing and just going to town in my head about whatever. But I was like, wait, I don't want to be here right now. In this moment, feeling this way. So what can I do instead? What can help me in this situation? Instead of focusing on the situation, what can I do to make myself feel better in this situation? Because we can't always control everything. We couldn't control the wind. We couldn't control all that fun stuff. So it's just, what can I personally do in this situation? That's what you need to ask yourself. And sometimes saying an affirmation can drop the stress and the anxiety to a level that is more manageable. Because if I stayed at my stress level and my anxiety level that I was at, I might have caused some severe pain in my body for those 20 minutes, right? That stress that I was holding, if I held the level that I felt at the beginning for that time period, I would have, it would have hurt. And heck, man, I might have even had an anxiety attack or blacked out. But I was at I feel at the beginning, I was at at least a 15. I was past 10. And when I started saying the affirmations, I was at a 2 a lot of the time. If I'm rating my levels, now it would again go up a little bit, especially when the airplane started to rock instead of just shake, rock. I physically could feel it, I went up maybe to a 5, but I never went all the way back up to that high level. I want to do a shout out to the pilot though, because he did an amazing job. I'm not, it's not about the he did an amazing job in that windstorm. Anyways, so I'm sharing this with you today because, like I said, this affirmation has been a huge, huge tool for me in my life. And then it really, really helped me when things got rocky, literally. So I'm just sharing this with you again. If you've listened to it before, like you've heard me say it before, this is maybe just a friendly, loving reminder that maybe this time write it down, so you might need it. I don't know. But if things keep showing up in your life, it means like maybe pay attention. Anyways, I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for being here. And I just really appreciate you. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks again for listening. Bye for now.